What's going on, everybody? My name is Derek. Welcome to my channel. So today, for this video, I want to talk about social anxiety. I was trying to think of what I wanted to talk about for this video, and just kind of, as I do, I go on Google and I search keywords and look at memes and whatever it may be to kind of spark some interest. And I came across something about social anxiety, and that's when I got that ping. I'm like, that's what I want to talk about because I can relate to it in a big way. So there's so many different kinds of anxiety that at least I know I feel. And I don't, again, I'm not a blog here. I'm not a doctor here, but I know what I feel when it comes to anxiety in different situations. One of the biggest ones I have is social anxiety. Simply put, if you're in a big crowd of people and you get anxious, meeting new people, you get anxious, being in front of a crowd and giving a speech on something, social anxiety. And this is something that I've dealt with all my life. You can call me shy. I was definitely that. I'm still, I guess you'd say, a shy person. Without question, an introvert. And I don't know all the details on how to explain introvert and extrovert. All I know is introvert myself is someone that I just kind of keep to myself. And then you have extroverts that can go into a restaurant or a bar and make 10 different friends in a night and just build relationships that way. That is most certainly not me because of my social anxiety. I'm not comfortable sometimes being around a large group of people. I'm not comfortable meeting new people sometimes. One-on-one is better. The more people that you add to the group, the more difficult it is for me. Maybe that's why I'm awful with names. Awful with names. I could look someone directly in the eye, perfect eye contact, shaking hands, "Hi, I'm Derek," and that person will say, "Hi, I'm Bob." 10 seconds later, I don't remember Bob's name. So that's very frustrating too when you are in a gathering and you're already nervous. I'm already feeling that anxiety. I'm not a chit-chatter. I'm not chit-chatty. But then Bob comes around the corner from the snack table and you catch eye contact and it's like, oh, I got to talk to Bob. But in my mind, I'm like, I got to say something. I got to be normal here and friendly and engage with this person, but what is his name? I would love to be like, "Bob, how are you, man? You doing all right?" But no, it's like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" Elbow bumps, fist bumps, shake hands. "How you doing, man?" And the whole time, now I can't engage in that conversation because I'm also now stuck on the fact that I don't know this person's name. So that's bothering me, and also I'm socially awkward and feeling anxious, and it's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go home. so that's just a kind of a scenario that pops into my mind on the spot. But what I'd like to do is share some personal stories of situations that I've discovered over time. Now, the first one I want to talk about is when I was a kid. And at the time, I didn't know what social anxiety was, obviously. But when I look back on this moment, like so many, I can look back in all these different moments in school when was just, at the time I didn't know what was going on, but I look back on it and it was anxiety in a social atmosphere, so therefore social anxiety. But one that has always stuck with me is, man, I had to have been 6, 7, I can't remember my age, but I had a little bicycle, and I remember not being on my training wheels. So I was definitely old enough to have a real bike here. Now, for context, where I grew up in my grandmother's house when we lived on a dead end. So if I was to ride my bike out of my driveway, if I took a left, I'd hit the woods. So in order for me to go to the neighborhood, I had to go right. I had to take a right, and it was up a hill. And then at the top of the hill, just as the hill ends, now I can, access the neighborhood. I can keep going straight, or I can take a right and then circle the blocks and go visit friends. And it was a cool little neighborhood that I lived in. But honestly, my only real way was going up that hill. I could have cut through woods and I could have gone around people's houses. There was those options that I could have done. But on a bike, I just needed to go up the hill. And there were older kids at the top of the hill. Who knows? They were probably 11, 12. But man, there were older kids, and there was a few of them. And they were playing on top of the hill, or just hanging out and goofing off, or they might have been a ball they were kicking around. But I didn't really know them. They weren't of my normal friend group that I was hanging out with, and they were older and terrified. I could not bring myself to ride my bike past them. I would get to the end of the driveway, I'd look to my right and hope, are they gone yet? Nope. And I'd turn right back around, and then I'd go to the other end of the driveway. And then, like insanity, as you know, insanity is you repeat and try the same thing over and over and over and expect a different outcome. Looking back on it, I guess I was insane, because 30 seconds later, I'd go to the end of the driveway. Look, nope, kids are there. Can't do it. And I just went back and forth. And that's it. That's where the memory ends. I don't know if the kids ever left and I actually made it up the hill and went to the neighborhood, or I just gave up, put my bike down, went back to the house. I have no idea. But that memory has stuck with me all my life. And clearly, it's social anxiety. I just felt so uncomfortable and was so afraid to be noticed. And then, are they going to pick on me? Are they going to bully me? Or are they going to ask me to play with them? Oh my God. I don't know how I can handle that. I just wanted to go for a bike ride and be by myself, apparently. Thinking back on it, yeah, because that's how I'd want to do it now. I just want to be by myself. But now I just go past that group and be like, what's up? And just keep going on. So that's just a childhood memory that has stuck with me. Now let's fast forward to my music years. Now this is where it's interesting, because when I played all these years, I've never been nervous on stage. Maybe when I was in like a high school band and we did a talent show-ish kind of thing. But really, I was never nervous as far as being in front of people. There might have been some like, oh my God, do I know the song well enough? Are we going to make these mistakes? Are people going to like us? Those types of thoughts. But I never felt uncomfortable being in front of people on the stage. And then I just realized, why? Because it's a controlled environment. I'm on stage. There's distance. They're not allowed to come up here on stage. If they do, someone takes them off. I'm hiding behind a guitar. Especially being a bass player, typically you're further back in the stage hanging out with the drummer, where the singer and lead guitar players are more up front. So I had that too. But I just felt like I had armor, I guess. Just had no problem ever being on stage in front of people, whether it's 10 or 1,000. Actually, more the better. I loved playing in the biggest crowd possible. That energy, the experience, feeling the roar of a crowd is amazing. It's like a drug. Loved it. Until the show was over. And then now what you're supposed to do as the band, if you're playing a club in front of a few hundred people and everyone's drinking, that's where things turn for me. Because I already have this issue of being around people in a social environment, but now everyone's really drunk and it's loud. So, and it's tight. So earlier in the years, I coped with that by drinking, thinking that was helping. It wasn't. It was just making it worse. The louder and bigger the room got, and the more I drank, the smaller I felt, and the more I just wanted to hide in a corner. And it just was miserable. And I would get really drunk, get sick drunk. Next day, just super hungover. Not because I was having fun, but because I was coping. I just had to keep drinking more beer, you know. When I quit drinking and found myself back on the road, it was difficult. I would try to mingle, try my best, would find myself just going outside. But then I would feel uncomfortable being outside. Like, oh, come on, man. Like, are you really that weird guy hanging out by yourself? Everyone's having fun. Go hang out with your bandmate. Go have fun. And I would try. And then eventually, over years of just playing and touring and not being a drinker, show would end. We would do what we need to do, tear down our gear. Okay, the rest of the guys want to go have a few drinks and hang out in the bar for an hour or two. I wouldn't. Maybe for 30 minutes, I'd make my rounds, be like, okay, I'm done here. Go outside. Plenty of times I would go to my singer and be like, hey, can I get the keys to the truck? Here you go, Derek. He just knew that I was going to go sit in the truck and watch Netflix and just hang out, like, and just get away from the chaos and the noise. But the key was I was comfortable. I finally got to a point where, like, I'm good to go. Y'all have fun. I'm going to hang out over here in a much more quiet, comfortable place. I'm going to pull up some Netflix and not feel awkward, not feel like, man, why can I not hang in the party? Why am I so different? What's wrong with me? Eventually I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just not me. So I'm out. I'll go hang out in the truck and be comfortable with it. And then I found, then eventually I'd discover some other people in the band would be like, yeah, I'm going to hang out with you too, man. I got to get out of here. So then I'd have a friend to hang out with. So that worked out. Another example of where I had to be in front of people and not feel as much anxiety is I used to host trivia. I worked for a company called Challenge Entertainment, and what you do is, it's like a 2-hour show, 2-hour thing. And it's just a nice way for people to have their dinner and have some fun. And they have a host asking questions. And the people at the table that are participating and playing, they form teams. So there's big 6 people all at one table, they're a team. And they have a pencil and some answer cards. I ask a question, I play a song. They have the length of that song, put down their answer, and then deliver it to me. After the song is over, I reveal the answer. And then I will then put the cards to the side, and then I'll go through them at some point during the game where I will mark the teams that got it wrong, got it right, whatever. But that's the gist. That's the gist of what a trivia night is like, at least for the company I worked with. So here I am, sitting at a table with a microphone now, and having to speak into it, and it's amplified to a group of people. Earlier, when I was just talking about being in a band, I was never a singer. I was never on the microphone. I never had to address the crowd. Here I am on a microphone in front of a crowd, and I'm the focal point. I'm the one that's leading this thing. But I quickly got used to it. It was weird at first, but then it was a job, and I just did it. Looking back on it, and I think even at the time, I realized why I was able to do it. Controlled environment. I'm reading things. I'm not just up there on the mic saying, hey, so how y'all doing tonight, and trying to be a comedian. It's just question, song, read answer, next question. Little introduction, that's kind of scripted. But there was no chit-chat. There was no personality, even though the company encourages that. I just kind of showed up and did the job. So I would have no problem with that. Got through it until the show was over, until the game was done. And I would just pack up my gear and get out when I should have been mingling and shaking hands. Thanks for playing. I will see y'all next week. I just had to shut it down and would just leave. But that's how I had to do it, So another situation where I was able to be in front of people and do a certain thing that would bring a lot of eyes in my direction and be uncomfortable with it. But then how quickly that changes once that controlled environment ends and goes away. So those are just some situations where I've experienced social anxiety. I still have it. I don't like being in big crowds. It's definitely a struggle for me. And going shopping, sometimes it's tricky. But then that goes back to just being crowded. If the mall is crowded and I can't walk in the certain speed and pace that I want to go in because there's people just taking their time in front of me and they're chatting and they're taking up too much space, then I could be like, come on. And that it can turn into frustration and being annoyed. So that's a little different. Waiting in a line. Oh man, waiting in line at like a Walmart or something when there's like 3 carts up ahead of you, and these might sound more like pet peeves, but the lady or man at the register is just taking forever and going really slow, and it's like, I got to get out of here. I got to go. Get me out of here now. And it's rough, but I get through it. It's not that bad. It's not that big a deal. There's much bigger problems in the world than not being able to handle standing in a line at Walmart. I understand that. We call it first world problems, right? But anyways, today I wanted to talk about social anxiety as a subset of anxiety and just share some stories with you. I'm sure a lot of you deal with it. How I deal with it and cope with it, I wouldn't suggest to other people because it might not be the right way. I just kind of have my way. Certainly don't try to deal with social anxiety with the use of alcohol or drugs because it's a lie. It's not helping. It makes it worse. But however you feel is a healthy way to get through it, and it makes it so you're comfortable either staying in the group or being comfortable with extracting yourself from the group. As long as you're comfortable and you're doing it in a healthy way that's not going to harm you, then that's your thing. Feel okay doing it. You're not alone out there. A lot of people have the social part of anxiety. So thanks again. I always appreciate y'all commenting, especially on these videos. Comments are amazing. If any way these videos, spark some positivity in your life, then that's awesome for me. And that just makes me so happy to see those kinds of comments. Thank you. And we will talk to you again soon.